It's starting to get into the late fall, so it's time to do our last oxalic acid treatment to kill the mites that are still in the colony. As the seasons progress into winter, the queen starts tapering off her egg production. And for those of you that don't know how mites reproduce, they reproduce in the cell with a developing bee that's capped with wax. So if I were to do this oxalic acid vapor in a hive with a lot of capped brood, all those mites underneath that wax cap would not be affected and would not die. So now that we're at the end of the year, there's a lot less new bees being made, less areas for the mites to hide, so the vapor should be quite effective. What we have here is eye protection, safety mask so that we don't breathe in the oxalic acid should some come out of the hive. This is our oxalic acid here. A couple corks to block off the ventilation exits so that all the vapor stays inside the hive, and then some entrance reducers to keep the vapor in the hive as well. I'll be using the mite-free to vaporize this crystallized form of oxalic acid. It sublimates it, turning it from a solid to a gas. It skips the liquid state. That's what sublimation is. And so we'll be doing that today to both of our colonies.
All right, so I'm going to start by taking out this plug. So this is all warmed up. I'm going to put that oxalic acid in. So that crystallized form is now turning straight to gas, a vapor that's going to circulate the colony or the hive, land on every surface, and the mites their feet are unable to stick and attach to the bees or any other surface that has this oxalic acid vapor on it, and they just fall to the bottom of the hive. We keep these ventilation exits closed with cork so that none of this vapor escapes out that exit. When this light turns off, that means that there's no more crystals left here. It's all been vaporized. So we're just going to see a little bit of that vapor exit when I pull this out. See?
Alright, so I've since moved out of that area. Because those entrances are sealed off, some of those bees that were flying out foraging for the last bits of nectar or pollen are starting to return and trying to get in there, so there's a lot of congestion going on. I don't want them to take it out on me and blame me for their entrance being closed. So we're going to let those sit with all that vapor going around in the hive for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll pull out the cork and remove the entrance reducer and let them go about their day. Right now it's about 55 degrees, which is a good time to treat for OA or treat with oxalic acid, because we want most of the bees to be inside the hive when we do it, so that most of the bees get treated should they have a mite on them. And we also know that at 55 degrees or so, that cluster of bees in there is pretty spread out, allowing that vapor in the hive to come into contact with almost every surface. If it was about 40 degrees, a lot of the bees would be in a tight ball, and that vapor wouldn't penetrate that ball of bees very well, so some of the mites that are in there wouldn't be affected. So I hope you learned something here today about treating for mites with oxalic acid vapor. From here on, I probably won't touch the hives until February. Occasionally I'll come out here and clear the entrances should they be congested with dead bees, just kind of pull that out in case there is a day where it's about 55 degrees and the bees need to come out for cleansing flights and kind of get rid of their waste. And other than that, these bees are set until next spring. So see you then.